I wanted to show you how to make these cute little bunny looking ears. They're really a hair tie. It drapes beautifully on a pretty ponytail, a great kids project, not to mention something fun for yourself. Besides from being super cute on just a simple hair tie, it also works great with my scrunchie pattern. I have put the link below for that video. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, first things first, we are going to cut out our pattern using paper scissors. I have included a 1/4 inch seam allowance already, so that is going to be what you're going to be sewing. You need to cut 1 per hair tie. So I have here my cut piece of fabric. This is a linen that I'm using, and as you can tell, it's quite thin. You could use a wide range of fabrics. Just keep in mind if it's a little thicker, it won't be quite as drapey. I have cut out my pattern. You can tell that the bunny ears, one on the side, one on the side, the stripes will line up this way. So if you want the stripes to go the long way and not short, you would want to cut your fabric so your pattern would be facing this direction. Just keep that in mind. We are going to pin these bunny ear pattern to our fabric. I don't go too crazy. 4 pins should be enough. Now I'm going to cut it out. I have cut out my fabric. I am going to put in the notches. You don't want to cut too far in. I'm now going to remove my pins. Now that everything is all marked, I am going to make sure I have the right side of the fabric. So the side that I want to be looking at when I'm finished is going to be on the inside. So in this case, I'm going to fold it over. I'm using linen, so I could easily finger crease this just to make sure that I have a straight line from point to point. Now I'm going to take my pins and making sure that I'm lining up those little tiny notches that I cut out. And I am going to just pin from that center to the point, and the same on the other side. Making sure those raw edges are lined up is very important. We only have a 1/4 inch seam allowance to work with, so we certainly don't want to end up with any holes because we didn't catch both sides. So now that this is pinned, I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine, starting at the notches in the center right here. I am going to sew all the way around and back tack at this point. I will do the same on the other notch, leaving about that inch gap, which we'll need to turn it inside out. I'll back tack, sew all the way to the edge, and back tack again. I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back. Corner to opening and back tack. I did it in black thread so you can see that there is this inch gap that I have left. For the points at the very end, it's nice to trim off just a little bit. The next step is going to be turning the piece inside out. When we get to that point, what we're going to want to do is take a pin and pull out that point. You don't want to be too rough because you certainly don't want to rip your fabric, but it's nice to get a nice good point at the end. So our next step is to iron the piece. We want to make sure that it is perfectly flat. Are dealing with the seam allowance right here, the little opening. You want to leave that 1/4 inch and push it to the inside. It's important that you do it to both sides so it's totally hidden. We will sew that opening with a ladder stitch or a blind stitch, just so that it's totally invisible. I demonstrate that on my scrunchie video, so if you're curious, feel free to check it out. I will leave the link below. So once it's sewn, simple as that, it can just be tied with a simple overhand knot, just like this, on a hair tie, scrunchie, bag, you name it. If you wanted to make it a little larger, this is, I think, good for kids or like a small adult bow. But if you wanted to make this pattern so it has a little bit more drapey ears, and I would cut down the center and add a decent amount. Keep in mind that if you want this ear to be an inch longer, you're gonna have to add 2 inches to the pattern. So cutting there and extending it 2 inches would give you an inch on either side. Thank you for watching my bunny ear hair tie tutorial. I hope you enjoy.